It was a crisp morning when I stepped onto my porch, coffee steaming in my hand, only to freeze mid-sip. There on my dock stood Melissa Harper, our HOA president, decked out in a sparkly sun hat, clutching a mimosa, and while VYing like a queen as my boat me saw Freedom's call saw was towed away by a white pickup and a rickety trailer. She even raised her glass in a mocking toast, as if she'd done me a favor. My heart stopped. This wasn't a dream. My boat, the one I'd poured 2 years of sweat into rebuilding after my world fell apart, was vanishing in broad daylight. I bolted down to the dock, barefoot, nearly slipping on the wet wood, yelling her name. Melissa didn't flinch. She adjusted her hat, sipped her drink, and sauntered off like she'd just finished brunch, not committed a felony. That moment seared itself into my brain. I wasn't dealing with a nosy neighbor. I was up against a sociopath in designer sandals who thought she owned the lake and everyone on it. Melissa had ruled our lakeside community like a tyrant for years, wielding the HOA like a weapon. She'd find people for tri-VYL, things mismatched, mailbox colors, grass a hair too long. She once reduced a sweet old lady to tears over a garden gnome. Her mansion, twice the size of anyone else's, sat illegally close to the water, with a dock extension that broke every rule in the book. Yet, nobody dared challenge her. Her nephew worked in the zoning office, her cousin ran lake patrol, and her ex-husband funded the sheriff's charity. She wasn't just the HOA president, she was the lake's empress. That morning, I'd woken to silence, the kind that only comes before the world stirs. Then I saw it, an empty dock where Saw Freedom's call saw should have been. I blinked, thinking maybe I was seeing things, but the mooring lines were sliced clean, not frayed. My chest tightened. The GPS tracker I'd installed was offline, tampered with. I grabbed my keys and started knocking on doors. Most neighbors hid behind curtains. One guy muttered about a white truck at dawn, but refused to say more. Nobody wanted trouble except Melissa. She was trouble incarnate. When I confronted her, she was pruning roses in her pristine yard, smiling like she hadn't just stolen my soul. "Oh, that old boat," she said, laughing. It looked abandoned, just cluttering the lake. I figured someone hauled it off. My blood boiled. Saw Freedom's call, saw wasn't junk. It was my lifeline, rebuilt bolt by bolt after my divorce, when nothing else made sense. Every screw I tightened pulled me out of the dark. To hear her call it an eyesore with her fake nails and smug grin, I wanted to scream. Instead, I drove to the sheriff's office, only to get shrugs and excuses. They called it a CIVYL matter, suggested I check with the HOA. That's when I saw how deep Melissa's claws went. Defeated, I went home, but I wasn't done. I fired up Google Earth, scouring the shoreline for clues. Then I spotted Ida, a hidden dock, tucked behind trees, unregistered, with something white tied up at the end. I borrowed a drone from my buddy Nate and flew it over. My hand shook as the feed cleared, revealing Saw Freedom's call sign next to Melissa's gaudy yacht, the one she claimed she barely used. I snapped photos, saved the VY Deo, and knew this was bigger than a stolen boat. The next morning, I showed Melissa the drone footage at her HOA brunch, her cronies sipping wine around her. She didn't blink, just smirked and told her guests, "This is what happens when you let paranoid people buy lakefront property." Laughter erupted. I stood there, EVY Denke in hand, while they clinked glasses. Nobody cared yet. If the system wouldn't help, I'd go around it. I spent hours poring over satellite images, old HOA maps, and bylaws, uncovering violations tied to her secret dock. It wasn't just arrogance. It was untouchable confidence, like she knew the law didn't apply to her. I took my EVY Denke to the county records office, but the clerk's face went blank when she saw the dock's coordinates. She whispered about needing her super VY SOAR, then vanished. A man in a crumpled blazer told me it was private land, none of my business, and I'd need a court order. I left with my packet, feeling like I'd poked a hornet's nest. Melissa didn't just bend rules, she erased them. Desperate, I dug out an old contact list from my Navy days and messaged Ethan Cole, a cybersecurity expert. I sent him the footage and coordinates. He called within minutes, his voice tense. The dock matched a federal case, involved VY-ing unregistered boats making late-night runs, possibly smuggling drugs or worse. My photos were the first VY Sewell proof they had. Ethan told me to stay quiet and avoid Melissa. I didn't sleep that night, picturing her smug wave. The next day, I flew the drone again, spotting a massive crate under a tarp on her dock too big for personal use, perfect for something illegal. At an emergency HOA meeting, Melissa ranted about disruptive residents, eyeing me as she pushed a new bylaw to ban drones and fine VYO ladders through Law 5000. When she handed me the clipboard, I pushed it back, saying no rule covered stolen property. She leaned in, whispering, "You think you're clever, but you don't know who you're messing with." Her smile was a blade, but I was done being scared. I played defeated, letting my lawn grow, skipping the drone flights. Melissa got cocky, her secret dock buzzing with unmarked trucks and midnight boat runs. I fed every detail to Ethan, who said the FBI was closing in. I did something reckless. Under moonlight, I swam to her yacht in blackout gear, slipping aboard like a ghost. The air inside reeked of chemicals, not luxury. I found crates of encrypted radios, navigation beacons in foreign languages, and locked metal cases. I took photos, grabbed a few small items, and swam back, lungs burning. Ethan called it a gold beneath FBI was MOVYing fast. Days later, 2 agents knocked on my door, not to arrest me, but to thank me. Melissa's yacht was part of a smuggling ring, shuttling goods overseas. They planned a raid, but needed her to feel safe. So, I kept up the act, nodding politely as she power walked by. Even when she asked if I'd sell my ugly cabin, I said I'd think about it. She hummed, clueless. Friday night, Ethan texted, "Get clear of the lake." I grabbed my dog, packed a bag, and checked into a motel. By Saturday, Melissa's yacht was gone, her dock empty. Ethan's message read, "It's done." Neighbors whispered about federal agents swarming her house. An HOA email from her shaky VYC president, Harold, confirmed she'd been arrested, the office searched, and active VY ties suspended. That night, neighbors gathered in my yard, sharing stories of Melissa's fines and threats. A weight lifted. News vans arrived, reporting on smuggling, offshore accounts, and a stolen boat. Saw Freedom's call saw was back on my dock, upgraded by the FBI as thanks. At a chaotic HOA meeting, Harold admitted Melissa had embezzled funds, and residents nominated me to lead. I declined. I just wanted peace. In court, Melissa's defense unraveled. She claimed she was manipulated, but then demanded to speak, delivering a chilling rant. She admitted stealing my boat because I was a problem, called the lake her kingdom, and said she smuggled tech to protect order. The jury was stunned. The judge didn't blink. She got 5 years, no parole for 3, plus fines and restitution. Her mask cracked as she was led away, reality hitting. That night, on Saw HOA Reckoning, saw her renamed Yacht Eye hosted friends. We laughed, danced, and reclaimed the lake. A second letter from Melissa, mailed from prison, warned of her appeal. Neighbors mocked it, one pinning it to a dartboard. Her appeal failed, her sentence stood. The HOA became a voluntary council, and the lake bloomed with freedom gnomes, parties, blue fences. Standing on my dock, I felt peace, hard-earned and untouchable. Melissa stole my boat, thinking she was in V-Wine Cybele. I didn't just get it back, I tore down her empire. But her final letter lingered in my mind, hinting at allies still out there. Who were they? What do you think? Did Melissa deserve her fate? Or was she a pawn in something bigger? Should I have pushed harder to expose her network? Or was getting my boat back enough? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more wild stories. Let's keep this lake free.